welcome y'all. This video today is going to discuss, or I'm going to discuss, dating in Costa Rica because that seems to be a frequent post for people that I guess are relocating here or are currently living here. I've seen posts from both native Ticos and expats who have moved here. So I'd like to give my single male heterosexual um, perspective, but I guess approach as well, because culturally it's very, very different here in many ways. Um, Coming from the United States, so let me mention that I came from the New York City, New Jersey area, which in many ways is such a melting pot of planetary culture that it is very open. And I grew up with heterosexual, homosexual, bigot, open minded, everything you could think of, all in the same schools growing up. Um, so even the closed minded people where I came from were almost like a super minority. So it was not cool, um, in a sense, to target somebody because of their sexuality. At least from my perspective, from a straight man's perspective, like it was never a thought to like tease somebody who's homosexual and uncomfortable with their sexuality in high school. If anything, like the term gay was used for a straight person who you just wanted to make fun of and like tease because you were calling them something that they were not. It wasn't derogatory towards gay people in any way. Like, um, if anything, if anybody called a gay person like that fag or gay term that we would use as a joke, which is terrible, it's not politically correct. But if you use that towards a gay person, you would get your ass kicked by one of their straight friends, probably. Me probably being that person. So it's just a different culture where I came from, where it just you couldn't really deal with people in an ignorant way because there were so many different cultures and diversity that people would check you on it and call you out on it, and you would learn very quickly. Just never do that thing. It was different when I went to college because people come from all over parts of the country, and there's like legitimate like racist, kind of solo binary thinking, type bigot type people, and they would say really intentionally hurtful stuff to minority populations of all sorts. And that was okay. Globalizing, now I'm learning that not every place I grew from, that people come from, is as open-minded and welcoming to different cultures as mine was. um, where I was from, the like white power rednecks were very much a minority. There was a time in my high school, um, that a white supremacist only lasted one day, and he had to get escorted out by police because we just didn't put up with that type of crap. So, um, dating here can be a culture shock, just like moving to any new place in the country or world might be. The main differences I've noticed is that because it's, at least where I'm living in like a Tico part of the country, because these are all families that have grown up together, like by the time these young men and women are 18, they've already maybe been dating their significant other for a few years, and they're ready to almost step into having children and getting married. And the families are all families with friends and families with each other for generations. So that type of courtship happens much, much quicker. Now, that said, a lot of these people are young couples in a modern world living in this ancient type of way. And when they start working and they start venturing out, they realize, oh my God, there's so many other options and temptations. And from what I've seen, because I'm 38 years old when this video is being made, so the women that I date are typically late 20s to early 40s. That's kind of my range. Because of the culture here and them starting families so young, and maybe it's not necessarily with somebody they're married to, it's just a civil union, and they might part ways with that person. You'll find a lot of, let's say, 25 to 30, but up to 40-year-olds that already have previous marriages, relationships, and children. So I've had to become much more open-minded to meeting somebody, a potential, partner who already has children, and I would be stepping in as sort of a stepfather figure, but at the same time, they're so young that we could still have more children together and build our family. So that's an aspect you have to entertain and acknowledge that it's a little bit different culturally. Where in the United States, women specifically were waiting till 35, 40 to really establish their independence and career and not rely on anybody in the modern generations. And as a result, they're not having children as young. So there was a difference from where I came from and women I was dating to now. Most of the women in the age range I would like to date probably have at least one or two children with somebody else. So it's just a normal thing I have to consider is, okay, if I'm with this person, I'm also going to have a relationship maybe with her ex, who's the father of the children, who, I might help take care of soon. Another aspect of the culture that is very unique and different in Costa Rica from where I came from in the United States is that, and this needs to be discussed, escorting or prostitution is a legal career here. It is not criminalized. It's legal, so it's a legitimate way for many women to make a good living and finance their school or finance their other careers, maybe to become a doctor, an attorney, or a successful business person. So I had to normalize that. Two things: somebody I may start to date that whose history I don't know may have done this for a while and been in the field, and either I stay closed-minded and ignorant in my old cultural ways of thinking, or I acknowledge that's a normal part of this culture for people to get forward. Kind of like in the United States, being a single young person, having a job, like you might have to do some other stuff. You might have to sell weed under the table. You might have to custom make clothes and not pay taxes on it to survive. You might have to, who knows what people are doing in the United States to just get by, because it's very difficult to make ends meet in that country. So I completely get it. Like I've had friends growing up that had to do things that were termed illegal that are now legal, but at the time, like for some reason, the United States in this world likes to limit people's ability to generate income if they don't come from generational wealth. So here, that's very much a part of the culture, and with tourist culture, um, I might meet somebody on a dating site or out in public, and then we get to talking, and they say, listen, like, I have to be very honest with you. This is what I do, and this is what I have to do right now for my career. And, at first I was questioning it and saying, like, you're worth so much more than that, and doing this. And then I realized, like, that was just my ego, like, being upset that she didn't want to date me exclusively for whatever reason, and trying to figure out a way to, like, empower her, when that was a United States cultural way of thinking. Because in the U.S., if you find out a girl is like sleeping with people for money, it's illegal. Two, it's not culturally accepted very well, and three, it seems very unsafe. But here, because it's regulated and protected, there's good health systems, there's police protection, there's legal protection. Like if some people come down here for sex vacations and they get girls pregnant, that can be traced back to their country through DNA at this point, and the Costa Rican government helps these women recover funds, and it's usually, from what I've heard, about $500 a month per child that they can get in child support from any country in the world, because tourism, specifically sex tourism, has been such a big thing here for so long that there's now policies and laws protecting Costa Rican citizens from basically bearing the burden of the financial, you know, impact of raising a child that they should be having help with. So there's that aspect too. That said, there's two aspects to my reality here, being an extranjero or a foreigner, is that women might think, they might see me and just want to take advantage of that situation and see my property in my house and say, man, if I get with this guy, I can get all that stuff if he ever decides to leave or anything, or maybe legally somehow, if they're squatting on my property for so long and they won't leave. There's aspects you have to entertain. And another side of that is, women don't always trust that I'm going to stay here forever and that I'm a viable person for a long-term relationship, which now that I've been here 2 years, they might see as a little different. But at first, certain women I was meeting were hesitant to date me because they didn't think it was anything long term. They would continue to question how long I was staying, if I was a tourist, when I was going back to my home country, and it's that's an interesting aspect. So there's a lot of hesitation for women to date white guys, black guys, foreigners from a different country because they think we're just going to sleep with them and leave and disappear, either not commit to a relationship or not commit financially to them, not commit to the family we might start creating with them, because that has been a generational trauma they've been dealing with because of this international tourist culture, which I completely understand. So that said, there's another side to dating here, the tourist culture. I live in a place that it's not frequently discovered by tourists because it's currently undeveloped in that sense. It's more of a Tico culture. But if I'm in Jaco or I'm in Playa Hermosa or Uvita or Manuel Antonio, and you go on Tinder or Hinge or Bumble, there are a ton of international people. People from Switzerland, people from Israel, people from Thailand, people from Poland, people from England, people from North America, people from South America. You're getting this big blend of international travelers. So where I came from before was a melting pot. Everybody would move there to work, to live permanently, or until 10, 15, 20 years until they can make enough money to go back and live like kings in their own country, kings and queens. Here, everybody's here for a week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 month stay. So now I have to factor that in, and I'm on the other side of the equation like the Tikas are, in the sense that I don't know if I want to go out with this girl because she's just going to see me as like a vacation fling and nothing long term. And I've suffered this because I'm a romantic a few times, in the sense that I've learned to like somebody. We've spent a lot of time together. We go on adventures and dates together, and then she disappears to whichever home country, or to be a nomad, a vagabond around the planet, traveling everywhere, always saying, hey, yeah, I'll be back at some point, I'll be back at some point. And I'm at the point in my life where I would like something long-term and serious. So I've been suffering and dealing with a lot of the emotional anguish that the Tikas I was meeting at first were experiencing and were expressing to me. So there is that hesitation to date tourists, which now I completely understand. And I even put women I meet that I'm interested in through these kind of questionnaires, in the sense that how long do you plan on staying, where you think you're going to settle down, and it's actually, these are things that will turn me off from wanting to go out with them a first time if they're not going to be staying too long, or they don't plan on returning. I probably wouldn't go out with that person. If I was 25 years old, more than likely I'd be going and having fun and enjoying myself and gaining more experiences and wisdom. But I don't need that at this point. Like, I personally, this is just dating in Costa Rica from my perspective. I can't touch upon the gay population. I can't touch upon dating, living in Jaco and being around the party scene all the time. I'm not going to touch upon that because it's not my experience. Living in a fully expat community with a bunch of other gringos, that have magnetized from different places on the planet. Those are like hippie communes. I'm sure it's not necessarily polygamous in all of them, but I'm sure they're kind of matchmaking in those scenes. I'm sure there's single people. I'm sure there's open relationships, poly stuff going on, swinger stuff going on. It happens all over the planet. That's not something I have any expertise in or I can speak about. So this is, from my experience, a few of the dynamics I've experienced that are unique to Costa Rica, and hopefully this helps any inquiring minds or allows you to see a different perspective of a straight hetero male living in Costa Rica, single, never been married, no kids. This is kind of my viewpoint of the dating scene. There is huge gay community populations. I have a lot of gay and bi friends. From what it seems like, men are much more openly gay and bisexual here, and and it's very much a part of the culture. There's a big trans culture here because plastic surgery is quite inexpensive, so you can transition physically very quickly, and I guess hormonally, medicine allows it much quicker here. So you're going to see a fair amount of a trans population in places like Jaco and Capos and probably San Jose. I'm not sure where else. Um, yeah, so from what I've really experienced is like let's get married really young and commit to each other for a long time, or let's kind of just be perpetually single and be free because we can't get really too attached. You don't know who's a tourist, who's moving, who's leaving. Um, so yeah, those are the two kind of big dynamics that I've seen. I'm kind of going more towards this way, but again, I'm starting a business here, so I don't want to be committing to these hardcore long-term relationships right away because I don't really know everybody and they don't really know me yet. So I've been just learning, I guess, educating myself and observing more than immersing myself in that, like I did for learning the language. Dating in Costa Rica, I've stepped back and observed more because I've also learned, and here's an important point. Hopefully, this video is able to upload because it's a little longer. To meet somebody going out to a bar alone in a nightclub, probably not going to happen. This is my dogs flirting with the dogs next door. So that's how you meet people too. Dogs, bring your dogs around because it's like meeting at a dog park in the U.S. except the whole country's a dog park. So you want to meet women or you want to meet men or whatever, bring your dog places. They're the best introductions. They're way cuter than we are, and they're way more flirty with other people than we are and less shy. So bring a dog around. That's how you meet people. Um, Simba, enough! Simba, my local boy. So that said, there are tons of different scenes here, and it's very open minded. It just depends on where you are. Um, Parrita, Capos, and Jaco seem to be very open minded places for gay populations and trans populations to kind of just blend and coexist with all the hetero, even like the old school cowboy mountain people. Everybody just kind of blends here. You're not seeing anybody look at anybody in any type of weird way like in the US where everybody's judging. So it's a very open place, specifically on the Central Pacific coast from what I've noticed. Other places may be a little different, but I think it transcends throughout Costa Rica, this type of, open, welcoming vibe and dealing with so many different cultures that, it just is what it is. Nobody's really judgy. And yeah, good luck with dating. If you have any comments or questions, comment below. I'd be happy to answer anything from my experience personally or from things I've experienced with friends. Also, I apologize if I got kind of sidetracked when Simba started going. Obviously, he has a very, very powerful voice, and it's distracting. It's like a siren. So if I skipped anything or missed anything, I'll catch back to it in another video or hit me up in the comments below. But that's less than 20-minute video about dating in Costa Rica from a straight man perspective, straight male perspective. And there are probably many more discussions to be had about this in detail because it seems to be something that a lot of people were looking for and discussing on here. And I guess moving to Costa Rica as a single person, you want to know what to expect. So if you have anything specific that you'd like me to report back on or go experience for you and kind of give my thoughts on that and my feedback, I'd be happy to do so. Like if you're interested to know what the nightlife is like in Jaco, I'll go out one night and I'll check it out even though it's not my normal cup of tea. I'll show you what it's like, or Manuel Antonio, or if someone agrees to let me vlog a date that we go on, I could do that as well. So yeah, put your ideas below. Don't forget to subscribe and share if this is an interesting video for you or you think somebody might benefit from the knowledge in it. Of course, always dating, be safe, know who you're talking to, confirm with them that they are who they are, and also be very open and outright with who you are and that people, can trust you. Meet people in a public place. Oh, that's what I was going to mention. People like meeting in groups, so you're not going to go out to a bar and meet somebody one-on-one. They're not going to trust you. Find a group of friends or make friends with their friends, and that's how you'll get introduced. Typically, Girls will go out with groups of friends, same things with guys, and they'll connect as groups rather than one-on-one. That just seems to be the normal. So if you like somebody, she may say no to you 50 times, but if you make friends with her brother or a good friend of hers, they're going to recommend you, and she might go out with you right away. She may actually ask that person to come on the date for the first half of it to make sure everything's cool, and then she'll ask that person to leave. And that's literally how things go on here. So if you meet somebody, a girl or a guy, and they say, hey, can my friend come along, or my brother come along, don't get weirded out. Don't assume it's going to be some threesome or something, or like the brother is going to grill you the whole time. No, they just want to know that their loved one is in good company and in good hands, essentially. And then they'll kind of depart and leave. Or they'll tell the person on the date, don't go out with this person anymore, you're coming home with me. So be open-minded to that. At first I was shut off to that because I would invite somebody over for coffee or out to a date, and they would keep saying, I want to bring my brother with me, and I would get all weirded out. I'm like, why does nobody trust me? And then I would ask friends, and they say that's normal, part of the culture. Do it, and they'll more likely trust you and go out with you alone after. So little hack there, always be open to meeting the family. It's an old school culture here, and it makes you almost think if a girl's willing to meet you or a guy's willing to meet you without having those steps, there's something a little shady and questionable about that. So I'm very nervous about, because I'm not nervous, but I'm here alone, and you always hear about people getting robbed and set up and stuff like that. So at this point, I actually prefer that a girl wants to bring her brother or introduce me to one of her friends like that. So we all have that security. So that said, hopefully this video is able to upload with its length. Please, YouTube, let me upload this, and hopefully you guys benefit. So tell me what you think below. Thank you very much. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, so you're getting updates on when all my new videos release. I try to put them out every day or two, hopefully usually a few times a week. So thank you guys. Tobin from Costa Rica. Good luck with your dating.